Ladles, Angelis, Spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. Hang on. This. This is a World War I B-Type bus made by Roden, Ukrainian company. And this is what we're going to build today. So, Slava Ukraini, and let's get on with it. So, yes, this is indeed a World War I bus that has been converted into a Pigeon loft. And there's a reason why I've picked this particular model, which we'll get into in a minute. Yeah, so this is by Roden in 1/72 scale. And yeah, let's have a look at it. Let's get it out of the box and see what it looks like. Right, it's all in one bag. The instructions and everything are in one bag. That's actually quite nice. It looks like it's got quite a lot of bits for a 1/72 scale. But anyway, let's, how do we get this bag open? Right, let's get all this out. Get rid of that bag. Oh, it looks like there's quite a lot of flashing on this. There are a lot of bits. Oh, those two are both the same. That's interesting. Oh, that's the ladder that goes up the back. Oh, I think we literally have to build the chassis and everything. It's got a lot of bits. Wow. Okay. Right, that all looks fine. Oh, what's this? Oh, this must be for like the windows. Ah, okay, we'll have to keep that safe. And we got some decals. Fairly straightforward. And the instructions. From the start, it started in the summer of 1914. The demands of the First World War provided the impetus for development of latest developments and technologies. It was at this time the first warplanes, tanks and submarines appeared. In the context of hostilities over large areas, the problem of coordination between individual units became increasingly important as the means of communication at that time still remained relatively imperfect. Yeah, there's an understatement. The telegraph already existed, but mobile devices were relatively heavy and unreliable, and their use was accompanied by constant technical problems. Faced with the question of communication, military commanders compromised and decided to use a tool often deployed in earlier conflicts, namely birds, as a connection to the location of previous deployment. The amazing ability of certain species of birds, pigeons in particular, to return to their homes from a great distance would once again save the lives of many soldiers during the coming years of the Great War. If the end of this actually talks about what I was going to talk about, so we'll leave the rest of that for now. We'll just cut to the end here. To transport a large number of birds together, special mobile lofts were used, so-called pigeon lofts. Initially, they were horse-drawn trailers, and later double-decker B-type buses were used as mobile bird shelters, which had now changed scene from the streets of London to the front lines of contact with the enemy on the Western Front. Some of the two-storey vehicles were rebuilt in order to perform their new task. The passenger seats on both levels were removed. The windows on the first floor were shuttered with boards, and the fence on the second floor replaced by windows, cut out and covered with nets through which the birds could fly simultaneously at the required time. Okay. So, but we'll get on to that a bit more in a minute. Let's have a look at these Whoa. Oh. Do you know what? I was thinking about that, how to make the mesh. And they actually give you a bit of mesh. That's really cool. Fantastic. This is getting better by the minute. Let's see. Oh, okay. I think they did this with the other one, the other Roden kit we looked at, or the last one we looked at, where they've got the painting instructions and everything on one side. And then the actual instructions are a separate piece. So this tells you what all the bits are, which is quite handy. And then this tells you how to actually build the thing. Right, we may have to do this in a slightly different order because obviously it looks like we've got to actually build the chassis. Oh, I see. And then the chassis rails attached to the bottom of the body and everything else, right? Yeah, there's a lot of bits. Okay. Right. I'm going to have to spend some time looking at these instructions, but what we'll do is we'll start cleaning up some of these parts. Actually, I'm going to put these bits somewhere safe, but that's great, that little bit of mesh they give you. Because I was thinking what I was going to do about that, but they actually give you a piece of mesh. So, yes, very cool. Well done, Roden. It's one of the things I like about Roden. Their kits are sometimes a bit iffy in terms of like quality and that, but they do have this amazing range of weird and wonderful models that no one else makes. So let's get some of this stuff put to one side, and then we'll see how we're going to build this thing. So we need to start with the chassis rails, I think. All right. And while I clean these bits up, I will tell you the story that inspired this build. And we're going to talk about the Lost Battalion and Cher Ami. So, when the Americans entered the war at the latter stages of the First World War, like everybody, they had problems with communication. And so, like everyone else, they relied primarily on carrier pigeons. Animals, despite the First World War being the first sort of like mechanized war, they still relied a lot on animals. So horse-drawn wagons and, you know, birds for communication and all sorts. Now, in this particular story, and this is one of these things that, like all stories like this, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of fog of war, and so on and so forth. So take a lot of this with a pinch of salt, but I think it's a lovely story, and so we're going to talk about it. So the Americans were supplied with pigeons by the British primarily. A lot of the pigeons that they used were bred in England. And in this particular story, the bird we're talking about is called Cher Ami. Now, Cher Ami was, which is French, it means dear friend. And Cher Ami was one of, I think, 8 birds that were deployed with the elements of the 77th Infantry Division of the US Army during the Meuse-Argonne offensive in, I think, 1918. This was an offensive that did not go well. And one of the problems was the 77th, actually, kind of ironically, were victims of their own success. So basically what happened was they advanced through the Argonne forest and advanced way further than anyone else. And the units on either side of them got held up, and it ended up with the 77th getting cut off. And to make matters worse, they were not only being shelled by the Germans, they were also being shelled by their own side. Basically, the problem was the artillery were trying to give them fire support, but due to miscommunication, they thought they were somewhere else. They were in a valley, and they thought that the Americans were on the south side of the valley when in fact they were on the north side of the valley, and so they were shelling the north side of the valley. So of the 550 odd men of the 72nd who went in, a lot of them became casualties. So after releasing numerous birds and sending numerous runners, all of whom were either captured or got lost or just couldn't get through the lines, they reached a point where, in utter desperation, they were down to the last 2 birds. So they went to release one of these birds. There was a shell landed nearby. Everybody got spooked and the bird escaped and flew away. So the last bird remaining was Cher Ami. And so they took the message, and I will read the message to you because it's fantastic. I shall read it verbatim. Hang on. So this is the message that was sent by Major Charles W. Whittlesey. And the message reads, "We are along the road parallel 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it." I mean, one shouldn't laugh. It's so polite, isn't it? Please stop shelling us. Anyway, so they tied the message to the bird, to Cher Ami, and sent him on his way. He apparently, and there's lots of lovely little anecdotes in this story. So apparently the first thing he did was flew into a tree and refused to move. So, which is kind of understandable. And so the pigeon handler had to climb into the tree and shake the branch to get the bird to fly, which he eventually did. He took off and headed towards the Allied lines. Now, because pigeons were in such widespread use as messengers, both sides would shoot pigeons. It's like if you were on the German side and you saw a pigeon flying towards the Allied lines, you would take a shot at it because it was probably a messenger bird. On the same score, if you're on the Allied side and you saw a pigeon flying towards the German lines, you would do the same. And it's also worth remembering that there were a lot of people, a lot of men in these armies who were like hunters and poachers and things like that. And they were pretty handy at shooting down birds. So anyway, Cher Ami takes off and starts heading towards the Allied lines and is promptly shot out of the air. Falls to the ground, and everybody's like, that's it, we're doomed. But no, because this absolute unit of a pigeon tanked this rifle round, took to the air again, and flew off. And flew the 25 miles back to base in 25 minutes. That's 60 miles an hour. Which is pretty swift. And landed at the base and, saved the day, basically. So when the pigeon arrived and they saw what had happened, because the pigeon had been shot, he'd lost a leg, he was blinded in one eye, and he'd been basically shot through the breast. So it's absolutely astonishing that he managed to fly at all, much less the way he did. So he delivered the message, and the medics at this base, at this HQ, then start working on the bird, trying to save his life. And this is where another one of these little anecdotes come out, because apparently while they were doing that, an officer passed and was like, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We're trying to save this soldier's life," which I thought was very sweet. And when they explained what was going on, the officer was apparently like, yeah, carry on, and just left them to it. So Cher Ami was saved, stabilised, and was then, once fit enough to travel, sent back to America. And another little anecdote was apparently seen off personally by General Pershing. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's the legend. Cher Ami was basically awarded the Croix de Guerre for saving the Lost Battalion, and was feted across the land. There was also a number of, I think that the bird was also responsible for delivering like 12 messages around the area of Verdun as well. So this was quite a well-experienced bird. And so unfortunately the bird did eventually succumb to his injuries and died. At which point he was promptly and very respectfully taxidermied and put on display in the Smithsonian, where he was for many years, and apparently now is in, I can't remember where it was now, he's in another museum. So yes, Cher Ami died at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey on June 13th, 1919. So he survived for quite a long time. Following his death, the US Army Signal Corps donated his remains to the Smithsonian. When the Smithsonian requested information about Cher-Ami, the Signal Corps reported they could not find any war record of Cher-Ami being the pigeon who carried the message from the Lost Battalion. Although they noted the records did mention that Cher-Ami had been shot in the breast with a leg amputated and the message hanging by the ligaments. Lovely. So the Natural Museum of American History and the Smithsonian had DNA samples checked, and they determined that Cher-Ami was indeed a cock. Stop laughing at the back. So he was a male bird. So he was put on display in the Smithsonian in 1921, and today he's on display in the National Museum of American History in the exhibit The Price of Freedom, Americans at War. So there you go. That's the story of Cher-Ami, which, again, how much of it is true, who knows? But I think it's a lovely story, and it gave me the impetus to build this, and apparently was also the impetus for Roden creating this model. So there you go. So let me get all the rest of these bits cleaned up, and then we'll start putting this thing together. Bits. So yes, lots of cleaning involved. One of the things I did do, I can't remember if I mentioned this before, I actually made this. This is just a piece of hardboard, and I just used some contact, like spray glue, to stick a piece of 400 grit wet and dry paper to it, because a lot of this is, you know, like straight edges, and so with this you can, you know, clean like that. So that was one thing I've done, but you know, there's lots of bits of stuff everywhere. There's a lot of flashing, a lot of mold lines on this. Nothing, it's one of those things that it's not terrible, but it just stops it fitting together properly. So there's been a lot of cleaning involved. And there's still a huge amount of cleaning to go. But I'm frankly losing the will to live. So I thought I would take a break from cleaning and actually do a little bit of assembly. So there's some simple bits we can put together. Like, for example, this is the front of the lower deck. So that needs to have bits like this put in. These are basically just to kind of block off the windows. So we can pop that in. We'll just put a little bit of glue around there. And then this bit goes on the other side. Like that. And we'll stick that in. Like that, you see. Now, as I recall, yeah, this bit in the middle has a bit of this clear panel going, number 3 there, that goes in there. So, but I'm not going to put that on yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. So there's that. That does not seem like that's gone in there properly. Hang on. Have I put the wrong one in there? Where's the back one? There it is. But yeah, so stuff like that we can put together. That really doesn't look like... Have I put that wrong bit in there? I might put the wrong bit in there. I've got a sneaking suspicion that might be the wrong bit. It might be this bit. I think it's this bit, actually, that goes in there. Yep, it's that bit. Never mind. It's been... There we go. That's more like... No, these bits go in the front one. So that goes in to there. Like that. That's where they go. And then that one goes in that side like that. And these just block off some of the windows. like that. And the other thing I want to do is put the engine together, or the engine cover. So we need this bit and these, and that, and that, and that. See, this is the awkward bit, is having to take all these bits off and clean them up, and then it's keeping track of where everything is. So that goes that way round. That has, you see, it has these little pins at the front. They go into the radiator like that. So that goes that way round. So what we need to do is put these bits on, and that goes, yeah, those are both the same, so it doesn't matter which way round they go. So they go up like that. And then we put the other one on this side. Like that. Oh. Just make sure they're somewhere near level. Now this is the firewall. So we've got a couple of holes there for the steering wheel and things to go into. So we want this side. And this goes on like that. Oh dear. This is kind of fiddly. It might actually be easier to do this the other way round. I think it might be easier to go from front to back. So let's put the radiator on. That drops in like that. And we'll glue that in. Like that. And then we'll put the bonnet on. Oh, come here. Like that. There we go. Oop. Eek. Now, let's just make sure that's square, because it isn't. That's more like it. Now we can put a bit of glue there and there. And now this should go on here a little bit easier. This is the bit that we want. And that should go like that. And we can glue that in place. There we go. Stay. So that's that. So there's a few little bits done, which has made me feel much better. Now, what I want to do with this is I want to build the bottom, like the lower deck and the chassis as one piece, and then the upper deck as a separate piece. And the reason for that is because we need to put in both these glass pieces, and more importantly, we need to do this mesh. because these glass pieces are easy because they have been printed with like cut out marks, so you can, you know, cut them to size. However, this mesh does not have that, so we're gonna have to cut that manually. So before I put the top together, like, because there's I need to cut pieces to go in here, which is going to be hilarious. We need pieces to go in each of these. We need pieces to go in each of these. We also need, once this is all together, we need pieces to go front and back of that, which is going to be great. Right, let's see how well this works. What I want to do first of all is just square up these edges. God, this is really hard to see. Because this, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this edge here isn't straight. So we've got one straight edge here. So I want to kind of reference that. I've just got a little tile here just to give me a flat surface. Could use a cutting mat, I suppose, but right, I think I might have to move this camera because I need to, I can't see what I'm doing. I need to get in closer. Give me a sec. I'm not sure if I can cut that straight, to be honest. I have cut it straight until it got to here and then the thing started to bend, but it should be all right. Right, so what we want to do is pop that on there, and I'll try and show you, but what I want to do is I want to have it so that it's not exactly the same size as this, although that might actually be the best idea, because I need to be able to glue it on. I need a pencil. Here's an incredibly blunt pencil, because I can't find a pencil sharpener. Right, so put a mark there, and a mark there. Right, let's see if we can cut that. Oh, knock it all over the place first. Right. Okay. Right. That works. And that works. So what we want to do now is trim this end. Like that. Might need to cut a little tiny bit off the end of that. This is where a good pair of scissors comes in handy. Right, that'll do for that. And that'll do for that one. There we go. So that's the basic plan. So what I'll do is I will cut out all the other pieces that we need, and then I think we can start assembling the top. So let me get these bits cut out and then we'll go from there. Right, so I've cut those pieces. I've got those pieces there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start building the top of this. Now, one of the things that we need to be careful of is there are some holes here, like locating holes, and I've already drilled a couple of them out, but you can see they're not particularly well defined, and that one hasn't actually molded at all. So I've just got a little drill here, and I'm just gonna, I'm not really putting any pressure on it because I don't want to drill through it. I just want to clean out the hole. Stop laughing at the back. So we'll just whiz that in like that. And like that. I'm kind of curious what these are for. I don't know if these are just like really weird ejector pin marks or something, but I don't know. They don't seem to serve any purpose. All right, we'll just clean that out. This one's going to be awkward, but it should be all right. There we go. Right, now we'll start putting this together. So we've got the sides to go on. So these basically go like that. So we'll get these glued on. Like that, and try and get them somewhere near straight. Like that. Then we want the back, and that goes in those two holes. Like that, and then we'll get that glued in if it doesn't fall off. And then that should straighten up the side there. Like that. Then we get the other side on. This is all going swimmingly so far, he says, as it inevitably ends up going wrong. You watch. Right. Oh, that doesn't seem to be quite the right. There we go. That's more like it. Right, that goes like that. Oh, and it falls straight off, because of course it did. Stay. Come on, get on there. Right, get that straightened up. Glue there. Like that. Little daub at the front. Then we need wherever the front there is. So we need this bit goes in at the front. So this should fit neatly in there. Notice I say it should fit neatly in there. Whether it does or not remains to be seen, but right, that goes like that. Get some glue in there. Like that. There we go. That looks quite Pigeon Loft so far, doesn't it? So what we need now are these pieces. And when you put these on, be careful because they have, you can see they've got a lip around the inside, and that's for that mesh to sit in. So make sure they go on the right side. I mean, at the end of the day, it probably wouldn't matter that much, but you want to try and get it somewhere near right. Oh, I think the printer's just finished. Right, we'll get that on there and straighten that up like that. Now we've got to be careful how we do this because we can't put it all together because we need to put some bits inside it. So this goes on this side. Like that. And that glues on there. Now, we want this bit to go on here. Like that. Oh, if I can get it straight. Because it's got, you see it's got these two little ledges that sit in the middle, and that kind of straightens everything up. I think the problem that we have here is that those holes at the bottom are not far enough apart. Oh, there we go, that's it. We've nearly got it. That's it. Right, now I'm not going to put the top bit on, which is this, because we need to get these, we need to be able to get these inside after we've painted it. So we'll leave that like that. The other bits we've got to put on are these side pieces. Let's put that to one side for a minute. And so these need to go on here. Like that. Make sure they're straight. Like that. And also make sure they're level front to back. Like that. I'll put the other one in a minute. Because what I want to do as well, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, I want to put something here, because there needs to be a bit of this mesh to go in here. And I want something for it to kind of butt up against. So, I did find a bit. Now I don't know what I've done with it. There it is. Right. No, I had it somewhere. I put it somewhere safe. So safe I couldn't find it. So this is a bit of evergreen. Just, you know, styrene. Words, right? And this is the same size as the rails on these frames. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece to fit in there. So let's see if we can get that. What we're going to have to do is we're going to hold that with a pair of tweezers and we'll just make a little mark like that, and I'm doing this in such an awkward way. Cut that. And now this should fit there like that, you see. And then we'll put a little drop of glue on it. And make sure it's in the right place. Like that, you see. And then when we put the mesh inside, it will give it something to kind of butt up against. So let me get the rest of this put together and we'll go on from there. Right, so let's start putting this bottom together. So, which way does this go? Right, that's the front. Well, it's got this bit here, that denotes the front. So we'll get the sides on. In fact, I'm just thinking it might be better. Oh no, I think we'll be all right. So it might be better to put the front and back on first, but right, that's one side. Let's get this side on. That goes that way round. That's that side. Right, that's the front. Oh. So that goes in there up against that. Let's get some glue in the bottom of it. And then we'll get everything lined up and glue the top. That goes like that. And that's the front. Make sure that's seated right in properly. And then we'll get the back on. And that goes like that. Oh, he says he completely missed. Do you know what? This would probably be a lot easier if I put my glasses on so I can see what I'm blooming doing. Oh, there we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. That's much easier. Who'd have thought? Right, that goes there. Like that. That's now got a nice big thumbprint on it, but that's all right because we're going to be covering these sides anyway, so but try not to get big thumbprints on things, you know. Do as I do, not as I say, you know. Right, that's that. So now we need to put some bits inside this. And this is where things go a bit astray, because the bits that it tells you on the plans to put in, most of them don't seem to exist, which is slightly awkward. But never mind, we will do as ever what we can. So this bit apparently goes down here at the front. Like, oh God, I've got that right in the right place there and then dropped it. Oh, will you go there? There, no, stay. Rat bag. Right. It's kind of funny because once you've got all this together, you won't be able to see anything of the inside anyway. But never mind. Put a little drop down there as well. Now we need to put some seats in. Now, the bits that it claims are the seats don't seem to really seat very well. But we do have these pieces here, which look way more seat than the things that actually tells you in the plan to use. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one of these in. It's like I said, once it's all together, you won't be able to see a damn thing on the inside of it anyway, so it almost seems pointless, but might as well show willing. Right, there we go. And I think, I'm not entirely sure how this is supposed to go in, to be honest. I think it's supposed to go kind of like that. Which looks reasonable to me. There we go. Like that. I'll put one on the other side as well. Right, and we'll do the same thing, because that seemed to work quite well. Just kind of dropping that in there. Like that. There we go. Right, so that's that. Now, we've got these panels that go on the sides. Just got to figure out which way around these go, hang on. Because it does actually tell you to put these on last, but I really don't see any reason why not to put them on now. It just seems to make a lot more sense to me. Now, I don't suppose it really matters. Okay, so we want... So if you see, there's holes there, 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 and there. And the holes, these holes close to the ends, go at the back. I'm also going to drill those out because they look a bit iffy. So I'll just do the same again, just get the... Because these have some brackets that go on them later. So I'll just clean those holes out a bit. Because basically these have some brackets that fix to the side. They're like an L-shaped bracket and they support the upper deck. Right. And so this just goes on like that and covers up the windows. Stay. Just slide that down a little bit. Get some glue in the bottom here. And there you go. I'll put the other side on and then we'll start on the chassis. Right, that's that. So now we need to start putting the chassis together. So let's put this upside down. Let's get our chassis rails in. So this one goes on this side. And what they've done here, which is actually quite clever, they've put this little ridge here, this little bit that sticks out, and that actually goes in between those two cross members to basically align everything front to back. And I also just realized there's a couple of holes there which I think are what the exhaust goes into, so I'm going to drill those out as well just to make sure. Right, so that goes like that, and we'll glue this on. Oh, there's one at the back there as well. I didn't even see that one. Right. That's that chassis rail. And we'll do the same on the other side. Put that in there. Liberal amount of glue. Like that. Wonderful stuff. Right, now this little tiny fiddly bit here goes in the front, and this is basically this is the support for the starting handle, which is why it's got this little divot in the middle, so that needs to go facing up. So let's see if we can get that in there. This is going to be hilarious. God, this is really difficult to see where it's supposed to go. I know where it's supposed to go, but it's just difficult to see. Right, let's just get some glue on that and then we'll manoeuvre it into place afterwards. I think it'll be easier. Right. Like that, there we go. Right, that's that. Okay, now this floor goes in between the chassis rails and goes there. That actually fits very nicely, which is nice. Like that. And then this goes in front of it like that. And this is where we find out nothing lines up. that needs to go into that little groove there, like that. Like that. And now we've got to try and get this one in. That is not even straight. Now it's straight. There we go. Now we're getting some. No, we're not. We were getting somewhere. Now we're not getting somewhere. Oh, this is incredibly fiddly, and it really shouldn't be. Right. You stay there. And you get in there. Like that. Perfect. Oh, that was way more awkward than it should have been. Right, we'll leave this to dry for a while and then we'll go on. Right, I just realised I left a bit out. Because, you know, this piece here that holds the seats. And it didn't fit very well at all. When I tried to put it in, it was like sticking way out the front here. So I've just trimmed a bit off to make it fit a bit better. And we'll probably have to trim the seats as well, but that's all right. So, yeah, it really doesn't fit very well at all. But I just trimmed a bit off the bottom and I trimmed a bit off here. And that's made it fit a little bit better. So it's not perfect, but it'll do. So we'll let that dry. And then we'll go from there. I think we're ready to start putting the engine and everything in. Well, the you know, running gear. Right, so we've just come across a little bit of an issue with the plans. I've just been working on this bit here, like the underside of it. So I got this piece together, and you'll notice that for the rear axle, that is part 8B. That's fine. So then we go on to assemble the engine, and it tells you to use part 8B. Just for reference, it's actually 8A, so it's on the A frame, not the B frame. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, it's where's it gone? I can't even find it now. Yeah, it's this piece here. So it's on frame A, not B. But anyway, you know, it's a typo. These things happen. So we'll get that nipped off and cleaned up and put on. It's kind of funny because I'm spending so much time cleaning parts that you're not actually going to see because they're on the underside. But, you know, I mean, you have to clean them up to make them fit properly and all the rest of it. But it's also the fact that, you know, I'm sort of sanding off, you know, lines and bits and pieces. Oh god, see that there's a big bit of ejector pin mark there that needs to go. Right, right, so this bit goes on like that, apparently. Is it actually going to fit? Yes, it is. One of the things I've had to do a lot is clean out holes and things. Stop laughing at the back. Because the like the corresponding pins don't fit. Because the holes are not moulded correctly. Which way around does that bit go? That goes that way around. So that goes on like that. And that actually fits quite well, which is nice. Right, that's that bit. This needs to go on the underside of here. A lot of the problems here is it's just the fact that the plans are not very clear. It's just like, yeah, put that bit there. But it's like, where exactly? Right, so this goes here somewhere. Not quite sure where. I don't know if it goes, I think it goes like that. But there's literally nothing to locate it. And one of the things that's interesting is it then claims that this bit fits in the back of here somehow. Is it meant to go in there? It might do. It needs a bit of cleaning up. Bloody birds on the roof. Right, so I think what we need to do is pop this axle in place. And I'm not gluing anything yet because there's a bit that needs to go under the axle. So that goes like that. And that will help us locate the front. Right, now we need to get the bit that goes under the axle. So 4B and 27B. Right, now the question is, do these bits fit together? Because technically they should, but those holes do not look like they're going to do anything. Nearly. You can see daylight through it. We'll just, again, just clean out these holes. You can see they've just not moulded properly, that's all. I am going to, in this case, probably use a drill bit that's far too big, but that's all right. Bit of room to manoeuvre, you know. Right, now, which way around does that go? That goes with the long end facing forwards. So we need to make sure that this goes on the right way round. Let's pop that off for a minute. So that goes like that. So that needs to go like that. And that should fit in there, and it doesn't. Because of course it doesn't. Right, okay, let's just sand the end of that a little bit. This is the problem that I've had with this, is like every single part needs to be like sanded and fitted. Nothing quite fits together, which is fine, you know, these things happen, but it just means that it just makes everything take way longer. Right, now, have I got that the right way around still? Possibly. Come here. There we go, now it fits. Like that. go. Right, now we can pop this in. It goes like that. And we'll glue this in place. We might as well put a drop of glue there as well. Right, and now this goes over the top of that, like that, like stay. Oh, would you just talk about yourselves for a minute? Get in there, you little so-and-so. There we go. And then we glue that in place. Like that. What was I about that? Right, now we can pop the engine in and hope that it actually fits. And it kind of does. Like that. There we go. What was all about that? Oh dear. Right, and we need the front axle, which is there. Funny thing is with some of these parts is in a way you don't want to clean the mold lines off because they're cast parts, and because they're cast you will obviously get like cast marks in the metal, so there'll be like mold lines on the metal and things like that. That does not fit in there. Right, I'm going to clean that gap out. It's funny because for all of its flaws, this is a very, very detailed model. I like it. I mean, it's like even like the rivet details on the chassis rails and things like that. This is one of those things that you could spend a lot of time making a very, very nice model out of this, if you know what I mean. I've managed to get that in. So we'll just put a bit of glue on it and then try and get it straightened up because it's not quite straight, but that's all right. Oh, that's even less straight. There we go. That's where it wants to be, like that. Lovely job. Right. Moving on. So we've got to put the steering arm on. This is going to be hilarious. Alright. Oh, God, I had that in the right place there. Now it's moved. Oh, good grief. Oh, dear. There we go. God, that was awkward. Right, now we need the steering arm 25B. Which also needs a lot of cleaning up in a move that will surprise no one. But that's all right. Right. This needs to go here. Like that, and then does not reach anywhere near that steering arm. Look at the gap there. Oh, really? Okay, what are we going to do here? Because that is supposed to touch there. Unless they mean it. Hang on, let me just double check where this is supposed to go. No, it is definitely in that hole at the back there, and it doesn't. It's nowhere. It's miles away. That is a good, like, 4 or 5 millimeters too short. That there is supposed to be touching there. And as you can see, it is absolutely nowhere near. Nowhere near. Right. We might need to make a new part for this. Because we do have this evergreen. And I suppose what we could do, is make a new part. So what we'll do is we'll cut that off long. Oh. Like that. And then we'll cut this piece off of here. Right there. Like that. And then what we'll do is we'll stick this bit in there where it's meant to go. Actually, you might need to flatten the end of that first. God, that's nearly straight. I need to put that in there like that. And then we need to put some glue on it to make it stay there. Like that. That's the easy bit. Now what we got to do is get this bit to fit in there. We're going to let that dry for a while, then I'll snip the end off and glue it in place on the other end. Right, so I've just trimmed that down and stuck it in place, and that doesn't look too bad. It will do for our purposes. And it actually reaches to the part where it's supposed to go, which is nice. So moving on, the next fun bit, oh my lord, we've got to pull the mud guards on. So yes, that'll be hilarious. Yeah. We should also really be putting the exhaust on as well. I haven't cleaned the exhaust up yet, but that goes somewhere. Yeah, that goes over here like that, basically. I mean, I've just thrown that in place, but it basically goes like that. But I'm just wondering whether to leave this off and give it some like rust or not. Yeah, that basically goes there like that. We'll see. I'll have to have a think about it. It needs to be cleaned up anyway. But yes, we are slowly getting there. Very slowly getting. And so the long day wears on. I was going to put the mud guards on, and yeah. So both of the rear mud guards have got huge amounts of flashing around the pin, and in both cases one of the pins is almost snapped off. So what I'm going to have to do is try and glue this back into place. So I think what we'll do is we'll put a little drop of glue on there to soften up the plastic, and then try and bend it. Oh, without it doing that. That's not what I wanted to happen, but I think it was almost inevitable, unfortunately. All right. We'll let that dry, and then we'll try and trim some of that flashing off. This one's more kind of bent than broken, but let's see if we can. That one's not as bad. Let's see if we can get this flashing off. Do you know what? It might actually be easier to cut it off with the clippers. At least get the worst of it off and then finish it off with a knife. Yeah, same thing. We'll let that dry and then we'll clean it up completely. The front ones are not much better. There's just huge amounts of flashing on them. I'll give them a clean up and we'll try and put them on. Right, let's see if we can get this to fit, shall we? What could possibly go wrong? Alright, that goes there. Let's see if we can glue this with my left hand, because that'll be hilarious. Oh, gold. There we go. That's about the right place. Let's just try and get it somewhere near straight. There. That's right, isn't it? Let's try and get the other ones on now. Right, we're back to cleaning parts again. I'm just doing the wheels. I'm not going to put the wheels on yet because I'm going to paint them first. But you can see again on these front wheels, the where the hole should be for them to attach. There's basically nothing there. So we're just going to drill these out manually, like that. Easy enough. And yeah, I've got stuff like this to deal with. That shouldn't be there, obviously. But I'll get these bits cleaned up, and then we'll I'll put a few bits on. So we've got the steering wheel on. I didn't realise I hadn't hit record on the camera, so I apologise for that. But I've got the gear shift and the handbrake on, and I've got all the lights and everything. But I'll get all the lights and everything cleaned up, and then we'll put those on. And then I think that might do us for now. But let me get these bits cleaned up, and we'll go from there. So we've got these two little ones that go on the front bulkhead, and then we've got two bigger ones that go on the front of the chassis. Oh, nearly. Come on. Oh, good grief. Right, that's nearly there. That's that. Right, there we go. What was I on about that? That's got it. Okay, right, now the horn snapped because of course it did, but we'll try and get that on in a minute. Okay, now we've got to get these in. So what I did was I just drilled a couple of little dents in the front of the chassis rails for these lights to sit in, because there was basically nothing there for it to attach to. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll see. Oh, come on, stay. Right, there we go. That needs to rotate very, very slightly. That's it. So, I'll get these last few bits. You get the idea of what I'm doing. It's just a lot of fiddly bits. I've also got yon pigeons to deal with. And as you can see, like these ones at this end are fine. And the closer they get to the middle of the frame, the more flashing they have on them. So I'm going to be cleaning pigeons for a significant amount of time. But you don't need to watch that. Right, so I've got the rest of the lights on. It was just a lot easier to do it without the camera in the way. And I've put the horn and everything on. That's all fine. So, as I said, we're going to draw a line under this here. And we're going to pick this up again, hopefully New Year's Eve. We'll see. Where we're going to put some paint on this thing. So there's a couple of extra bits I've got to put on. I'll do those off camera. and I'll put some primer on it, and then so we'll be ready to leap into this in the next video. So hopefully you've all been enjoying it so far, this rather incredibly fiddly thing. Like I said earlier, it's something you could make a really, really good model out of this if you had like the time and the patience. It's very, very detailed for a 1/72 scale. It really is. But yes, we'll try and do it some justice with some paint in the next video. So hopefully it's given you something interesting to watch, as opposed to the usual tats on the telly this time of year. But yes, hopefully you're all enjoying your festive period, and do spare a thought for all of those who are, you know, working today, because, you know, some things don't stop. My missus was at work this morning. She works in a livery stable, and the horses don't care it's Christmas. They still need to be looked after. Farmers, emergency services, armed forces, nurses, doctors, all those kind of people all got to work today. So raise a glass for them if you can, of whatever your beverage of choice is, or indeed raise a cup of tea. But yes, hopefully you're enjoying this so far. As ever, I'd like to thank my top tier patrons, Howard, Amy, Chris and Hawaii Clive O, for their continued support. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.